Can't see myself.
All right, guys. What's going on, everybody? Ben here. With me today, I've got our weightlifting coaches. I've got Nick, Francis, and Cornell. Right? Today, we're just going to be talking about how we got into weightlifting, what brought us into coaching, stuff like that. And we're really just going to kind of share our stories a little bit about how we got into this sport and why we continue to do it, and just a little bit more about ourselves. So first, I want to thank you guys for kind of last minute jumping in.
Thank you, Ben.
Right?
Thanks for inviting us here.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to.
We'll have time in the morning.
Right? I was just like random. I was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?"
Podcast.
Podcast question. Also, I want to thank Francis. Francis is helping us on the audio-visual side. So if things are terrible, it's his fault.
You can blame me for it.
You can
but
blame
it won't
him?
be. It's gonna be amazing.
It's going to be amazing.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, he can hear.
I made sure that I made sure the gain was turned up.
turned the gain
Turned
up.
the gain up.
Right? He was
And
like,
now-
gain turned up.
Gain's turned up.
Gain engaged.
Microphone picks up.
There you go.
We're all fine.
So
He's not wrong. I should probably get closer to them.
the first thing I wanted to go over real quick is I just want to hear a little bit about like you guys and what like brought you guys, like how you got into weightlifting, what kind of like your journey's been a little bit, and like I said, this is pretty open format, so feel free to make comments, harass, things like that. Coach Ashley has already dropped, so we have an explicit rating, so feel free to be yourself. She was the first one to drop the F-bomb on the show, so perfect. So let's go ahead. Let's start. I want to start with I don't know, who wants to go first?
You do.
Oh.
Tell us all about your journey, Ben.
Ben, you're the head. You're the head coach. Let's go.
Yeah,
I'm
yours
not
like-
even like a head
head
coach.
coach.
You're the head of the gym coach.
That's not even like a good title for what I do.
Doesn't matter.
Your videos that popped up on Facebook. From
Right? You like that?
First,
Yeah.
Was that first meet?
That was not my first meet. That was like my first, like, I had been focusing on weightlifting. So 5 years ago was, for the audience, 5 years ago was my first, like, I would say, like, into it meet. I had done an AAU meet. No offense, Martin Drake, dick. But the...
Are we editing that out?
No, we're not editing that.
That's tofu.
That's tofu, yeah. So I'd done a meet before that, but that was my first, like, I'd been training for it meet. And it was a 40th meet 5 years ago. Nick totaled more than I did. I remember watching Nick lift after me and going, wow, that guy is strong.
I totaled more than Ben did probably after that one too.
I totaled more than both of them.
He's probably not wrong.
He's probably not wrong.
It's a very, very elaborate super battle right now.
Yeah, it is. It's like a super, not a super battle. Anyways, but it was really cool. Like, I looked back and, like, I opened at 100 kilograms and missed it. Right? Now, comparatively, like, that was 5 years ago. Like, I can muscle snatch 100 kilograms now, or I have muscle snatched to kilograms. Kilograms?
Yeah,
Kilograms.
You can.
I can.
We know that you've done it and that you can do it.
Yeah. But, and, like, I clean and jerked 140.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're like, okay, like, that's pretty good. Like, all right. And, like, looking at how that compares now, you're like, man, come some ways.
Man, we haven't come very far at all.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing. Like, I look at it, so I believe, like, when I talk to people and they're like, how long have you been working on this stuff? And I'm like, man, it's taken me my whole life to get to where I am. So, like, my background, like, I was, a lot of people don't know this, I was a super skinny, awkward, nerdy kid. Like, I was telling my wife about it, but my mom used to ask people to, like, other parents to, like, hang out at the bus stop, because I used to get, like, beat up a lot, like, jumped by other kids and stuff, so she would ask
I
people.
imagine why.
Whatever, dick. But, so I used to get beat up a lot, and when I was, like, 14, my mom bought me, like, that Walmart chrome plate, like, weightlifting set, right? And it had, like, some,
Skinny ones?
yeah, the real skinny ones. You had to, like, spin the
Like a
collars.
super shiny.
Yeah.
chrome
Yeah.
metal. Yeah.
So I got a set of dumbbells that went up to 25 pounds, and I got a bench with that had the concrete plates in it, right? You know what I'm talking about? Or
Yeah,
like they were
plastic
sand or
ones.
yeah.
It's
So-
like got the stuff inside the plastic.
Yeah. So you can't drop them too hard, or they shatter, and then like they get lighter. But so that was like what I started with, and I remember like my old like workout regimen is in my bedroom at like 14 years old. I would do like curls, shoulder presses, and like push-ups, and then bench pressing. Like that's, and I just like every night I just do that because I didn't know what else I was doing, and then I would like throw in some like air squats and stuff like that. But moving forward, I had gone through some life changes. I had gone through divorce, got back into the gym again, and was working out. What?
At 14 years old?
No. This is like
It's a different time.
Because you did say the first time you squatted 500 pounds was when you were like 15, 16?
16.
16.
That was in high school. So I power lifted a
So
lot.
he was married and then he turned 16. and got divorced.
Timeline.
Okay, all right. Let me go back to the timeline. In high school, I got bigger. Like I went from like being 130 pounds to like 200 pounds in like a summer, and so like that's if like I've got stretch marks all over. Yeah, I have stretch marks all over the place. But like the back of my calves are just stretch marks. But anyway, so I put a bunch of weight on, got real strong, or like puberty hit, and I didn't get any taller. I just got wider, and just kept lifting. And the next thing you know, I was like, oh, like you guys. What do you mean you guys can't squat 400 pounds? I was like, I'm doing that for a couple reps. And then, like, the other kids in the high school, and then my strength and conditioning coach was also, like, my history coach, Coach Curl.
That's pretty
Right?
legit.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
He,
very fitting.
he was just like, yeah, he's like, you're not a real good football player, but you're real strong, so let's do that. And I was like, okay. So I got into some powerlifting and did pretty well in that. Had some, like, state records for a little while, which was cool. I was back in the equip days. And then I joined the Marine Corps. Well, I went to college for a minute, joined the Marine Corps, got married, got divorced, as you do in the Marine Corps,
Okay.
and was getting fat. And I started going to like an LA Fitness, and I was tired of working out at 5 a.m. with like 4 old dudes who were always trying to like dry their balls off when I was in the locker room. And I was like, man, this sucks. I'm going to join this, like, I'm going to look into this CrossFit shit. And I showed up to CrossFit, and like the second workout class that I did had snatches in it. And I was like, what weight are we supposed to do? And he's like, well, RX is 185. And I was like, or it was like 135 or something like, I don't remember. It was 155. It was something like that. And it was below 185, above 135. And I was like, all right. So I like put it on the thing, and I literally just grabbed the bar and like just pulled as hard as I could. And, just, ugh, and put it up, and the coach his name was Wilson, put it down. He's like, put that down. I put it down. He's like, don't ever do that again. And I was like, what?
Perfect.
And he was like, you just muscle snatch more than I can snatch. You're not allowed to CrossFit anymore. Go over there and talk to her. And I was like, okay. So they introduced me to this woman, Veronica, really short, older gal. Yeah, you know who Veronica is. But she was my first weightlifting coach. And she started teaching me the fundamentals, some fundamentals of weightlifting, and I got a little better. And then I did a couple meets, and then I started lifting again with George and my old business partner, and then I did that 40th meet, and I've been weightlifting pretty much only since then. So I also met my wife through weightlifting,
Which is important.
which is super. I mean, yeah, super.
It's an
like,
important detail.
It is an important detail.
Shout out to Jamie Tim.
Right?
Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy early birthday.
Happy-
Happy late birthday.
Late birthday?
Late birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah,
late
it's past her
birthday. It is
birthday.
past-
Yeah,
past-
tomorrow's
it's
Mother's
late
Day.
birthday.
It is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, if you count that as her birthday too, then it's early.
I don't count
As you-
Mother's Day as her birthday.
Maybe it's
Then it's
wishing
not
her
early,
Happy
it's late.
birthday for next year.
There you go.
Yeah, we're wishing you happy early birthday for next year.
It's coming.
Covering
Less than a
bases.
year.
That's right. Well,
Right
I mean,
around the corner.
yep, right. That's how. So my grandfather. Funny story. When Jamie was pregnant with Lincoln 5 years ago, I bought Jamie her first barbell. So Jamie's like 9.5 months pregnant. She's like 2 weeks from giving birth, right? And we went out to dinner, and I was like, and I brought her out to the car, and I like, hey, I got you this. I got you. She's like, oh my God, you got me a barbell. I'm so excited. And my grandfather's like, you bought your pregnant wife a workout piece of equipment? I don't think you're doing this right. And I was like, I can see how you would think that. He's like, you're like telling her like she's fat,
You
and
can
she
hire
should.
an elliptical.
Yeah, I was like, no, trust me. And she told my grandfather, she's like, no, Papa, like I'm really excited about this, you know. And then 5 years later, I bought Jamie another barbell.
Yeah, I
So.
was gonna say.
She's not pregnant this time, though.
She's not pregnant, thank God.
So that's
we
good.
sure?
I'm very sure. I mean, I'm as sure as I can be. So
I feel like that's gonna be the Tim's, like your progressive anniversary gifts, where you like 1 year you're supposed to buy like paper or something.
oh
like
yeah,
that.
there's like wood.
No,
and
it's
all
gonna
that.
it's gonna be her whatever her first barbell was
It
until
like
like
started at like the bottom of the barrel, like the Rogue.
I mean, it's
And
not.
now
It was
it's
a it was a rogue weightlifting
I'm
bar.
just messing.
But if she got an Eleiko, like she's not getting another one. There's not like a 10-year. Like
I feel like you set the bar pretty high. It's pretty early still.
I set the bar pretty high.
Oh. Got him.
Coming in there with them dad jokes early. All right, that was my story. I want to hear Nick's story because Nick, I think, Nick's been a weightlifter longer than I have. Nick's the longest weightlifter, oldest.
I wouldn't say that I've been a weightlifter longer than you, or anyone else. I have an older USAW number.
Counts.
Yeah, that totally.
I signing up for USAW.
What,
USAW does not make you a
what is
weightlifter.
USAW?
It's USA Weightlifting.
Okay, so you became a member of the
Anyone
official
in the world
organization.
or anyone in the United States can be a member of USAW. You just have to pay for it. So if that's what makes you a weightlifter, then yes. Then yes, I have
All right.
been a weightlifter longer than you. I didn't start weightlifting until I was in junior college. That's what we called it in Modesto. It wasn't community college. It was called junior college. It was actually called Modesto Junior College.
I always called it community college,
I mean, that's what it's called
others.
most places, but
except for
called it
Modesto.
college.
like it's the
I mean, it took
name
me
of
4
it.
years.
It's the name of it.
Right? I'm at like 8 years. A lot of people go to college for 7 years.
And I wasn't really
Doctors.
good enough. I wasn't really good enough to play football for a long time.
Yeah.
So, or no, it was baseball. I'm sorry. I was playing football. I wasn't good enough to play baseball because I couldn't see.
What was your position in baseball?
I was a catcher.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you were.
Yes, I was. And I was goddamn good at it.
I
too.
believe you. You're a really
So,
good catcher.
I was a really good catcher. So I had to quit baseball when I was 17, and when I quit baseball, I joined the track team because it was something else to do.
And you're a
high
really
school.
good runner.
No, I threw things. I threw things for the field portion of the track and field team. I wasn't really good at that because I only had the 1 year of practice at it in my senior year of high school. I went to junior college, and our track assistant coach was into weightlifting, so kind of in the off season of track, my second year of junior college, he asked us if we would like to learn how to do that, and so we all said yes because we go to the gym or like up to the workout space and do like squats and deadlifts and like whatever. So he asked us if we want to learn how to do snatch and clean and jerk, and we did. So we did that, and it progressed to a point where he decided that he wanted to try to sign us up for a meet in Sacramento, so we did that.
What year was that?
That was 2002,
Oh man.
I think.
I mean, I did my first like not real meet even in like 2010. No, 2012.
Well,
You did it 10 years before me.
I did the 10 years before you. And once I graduated from junior college, I came down to San Diego to go to San Diego State, and all the people that I lifted weights with back at home were obviously not there. They went other places or stayed home. And yeah, shout out to the two Adams that I used to lift weights with back in Modesto. They won't hear this.
Who knows?
Not with that.
It's gonna blow up
But
soon, guys.
I came down to San Diego, and I didn't really have anybody to lift with, so I didn't. And I would go to the gym, like 24-hour fitness when I had a membership of 24-hour fitness, and I would do like power cleans out of like the little, I don't know what you call the squat rack with all the little pegs in it.
Oh yeah, the one that like it's got like the bars.
And it's
that,
got
like,
the rail
Yeah,
that comes
yeah.
out, and I'd take it out of the little rail and like do power cleans with metal weights. And probably looked like a retard.
Little clang and bang.
Yeah.
Like a retard.
So I did that. And I did occasionally go into the weight room, the athletics weight room at San Diego State, and
Because they have like San Diego State's got like a pretty like nice like.
yeah, they had a nice weight room.
Yeah.
But I was by myself, so I didn't. It was like I'd just go in there and I'd lift, and I'd be like, yeah, this is really fun, but I don't have anybody to lift weights with. So I did it periodically.
Gotta get some sound effects in, like a soundboard,
Yeah.
right?
You gotta grab a soundboard for that.
So, when I graduated from college, I started working at Camp Pendleton, and I got a couple of coworkers that were all into like the CrossFit scene and so on and so forth. And I had been going to the HIT center, the High Intensity Tactical Training Center,
Right.
on base. And I was just like lift by myself in there, no hook grip, no nothing. Like this was like 2010 maybe.
Mhm.
And it was kind of like when CrossFit sort of started, so I was like, oh, weightlifting, cool. And so I started doing it by myself. And then these couple of friends that I had, shout out to Ian and Javier.
They'll hear
We
this.
would, they're in Okinawa, they might hear this. We would do like CrossFit stuff and like lift weights, and like I really liked the weightlifting part because I was better at it than they were. They liked the CrossFit part because they were better at it than I was. And then they left and went to different jobs. And so I was kind of like, again, just like by myself, like trying to lift weights. So I kind of just didn't do it. And so I decided that I wanted to. And I started looking for gyms that supported that, and there weren't any, really. Like, you'd go to the websites, and they're all like weightlifting, you know, like the weightlifting portion of
Yeah.
the website. And I click on it, and it'd just be a blank page. And I'm like,
That was
Okay.
also, that was in like what, 2011?
14.
14?
Yeah.
I mean, like, that was still,
It was early on, but
Yeah.
I'm saying, this is where it started, right? Because I would look, weightlifting, nothing. Look at a different gym, weightlifting, blank, weightlifting, blank, and then I got to the gym before we came here at Trifecta, and they had a coach
Mhm.
who was into weightlifting, so they had a weightlifting page with weightlifting stuff on it. And shout out to Cornell, he got his first muscle up like right before I got there. And I saw he was the athlete of the month.
he's like, that
It
guy
was a
looks
video.
cool.
It was a video on the page, you know, of him doing a muscle up. So I showed up, and this is the most fun part. I showed up on a Saturday because it was like, come work out for free on Saturday, and there was like a bunch of tents and like streamers and like people everywhere, and I just kind of like walked up like, what's going on? And there was like a big competition happening.
Oh, is that like for one of the North County Fittest?
It was the first one.
Yeah, it was the first one.
Were you showing up just wondering, like, man, they really take these Saturday free workouts crazy?
I didn't know what was going on. I just walked up and I was like, I don't think this is the right place. At first I was like, is this a carnival? Like, I don't know. There's lots of colors and people and shouting.
Shouting. There's a lot of neon signs.
Things were hitting racks and banging on the floor, and I was like, I don't know what's happening right now. Are they tearing this place down? So I walked in, and there was a ton of people and like tape marking off area and people working out and going crazy, and it was all hot in there, and I was just like, okay, I don't know what's going on. So I just walked over to the corner by the little water cooler and just like stood in the corner. Legit. I have pictures of like people who were at the competition who had pictures taken of them, and I could see myself standing in the corner.
Who's that big guy with a beard in the corner just being a weirdo?
I don't know if
He
I
wasn't
had a
that
beard,
big.
but I don't know if
He
I had a
wasn't
beard
that big?
back then.
Looking back at it now, he really wasn't that big.
I mean, I was like 250-ish, but I was like a chubbier,
Yeah.
not stronger looking
Proportions were
250.
different.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I've gotten heavier since then.
Yeah.
but not a lot.
You're
heavier.
stronger.
I got down to like 245
At one time.
because I did CrossFit for like 6 months. That's later in the story. So sat in the corner forever. Went and talked to Tommy afterwards, and I was like, hey, can I join the gym? And he was like, yeah, like, do you know how to do the movements? And I was like, or I asked him, do I have to do fundamentals? And he was like, well, do you know how to do the movements? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, okay, well, why don't you just come in on Monday or whatever day it was, and we'll see how you do. And so I did. And then I was like, do I have to do fundamentals? And he was like, no, you don't have to do fundamentals. And I was like, okay. So I joined the gym, and I felt obligated to do CrossFit because I was a CrossFit gym. And I didn't want to look like that guy that just shows up and I'm like, F CrossFit, I want to do this other thing. And I really didn't know like when the weightlifting time was and so on and so forth. So I just kind of wanted to like feel it out. So I showed up for CrossFit classes, and I do pretty good on like the the weightlifting portions of it, but then I would suck at like all the cardio and like pull-ups and like all those types of things.
We're gonna do push jerks today, and you're like, yes.
Basically,
And
yeah.
then
And
we do
then,
box jumps and running. Shit.
and then Tommy at one point was like, "Man, you'd be okay at this if like you could just run."
Like,
And I was like, "Yeah, that's not gonna happen."
It's a far cry from
I was like,
Yeah.
I've tried to run before, and
Yeah.
like I can do it, but it doesn't get better.
yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I have never like trained to run, but you would think someone who doesn't run starts running,
They would get better.
they would
at
get
running.
better
Yeah.
or like faster, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I just ran like the same all the time. Just get tired and breathe hard within the first like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Or even sooner than that. Let's not kid ourselves. So at like day 2 or day 1 or day 2, Sebastian, the coach, was like, I was just standing around like up in the little window, like watching everybody, and he's like, do you like weightlifting? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, do you want to be in the class? And I was like, yes. So I like went and put my shoes on, and it just so happened that the first day that I joined, they were doing 20 rep back squats,
There you go.
and it was like they started at a certain percentage. I don't remember what you guys were
It
doing.
was 80% of your 80%.
That's where you started, or that's where you wanted to finish?
No, that was where we started.
Okay,
80%
so
of your 80%.
Yeah,
is where you started the
So what's that, like
process.
70%?
I don't know.
I don't know. Get a calculator out there.
Yeah, math is
If
hard.
your 100 was 100, that'd be 80, and then it would be take away 8.
80,
like
so 60.
72%.
Why didn't you just say 72? Anyways,
I
okay.
figured it out in my head.
He
he's
mathed.
I know, he's a math guy.
Math.
He wanted to look smart.
He's like
Which was
numbers.
actually a very smart thing.
Right?
And he
I can
accomplished-
only do it with
I would
100
not thought
kilos.
that.
He's
But
like, if
that
it's
makes
not-
sense for percentages.
You
right?
made it 121, I'm lost.
He accomplished the goal, so he did what he set out to do. So I joined on 20 rep back squat day. I put on whatever the weight was that I was supposed to do, and I did 13. And then I put it back in the rack and fell down on my knees like all dramatic, like, oh God, And then Sebastian walked over, and this was my favorite thing about Sebastian. He walked over and he goes, how'd it go? And I was like, I did 13. And he goes, it's 20. And just walked away. And so the next time I did 20, and it was really hard, but I did it. But that was motivation. So I feel like shaming people is good motivation sometimes.
Listen, I mean, that can come across in like parenting, even. Like, I have totally used shame for parenting, and it works great. And I look at people, I'm like, do you think that's what big boys do? No. And like, it works.
Basically, that's what he said to me. I did 13. He was like,
He was like, yeah, big
Is
boys
that
do.
what big boys do?
Big boys do 20.
and I was like, no, big boys do 20. So the next time I did 20, I don't remember what the weight was. It was like
It was heavy.
it was like 240 pounds or something like
That's
that.
a lot.
Yeah. So then I started weightlifting, and then I think maybe like a year later. It was about a year later because it was 5 years ago that we did our first one. A year later, we did our first meet. It was at 40th.
Was it the same meet?
No, it was the one when the rig was in the way. I don't know if you were ever there for that.
I thought that was the one.
It was at the
No, the
old
one-
location.
Yeah.
The one
you
that
at
he
that
just posted was my first meet, and that was your first. That
Yeah.
was
I didn't see the one you just posted.
our.
Yeah.
It was our first meet.
Yeah, like
Were you
it
at that
was-
one too?
Yeah, yeah. It was the platform, and then like the judges sat underneath the rig. Right? Yeah, same one.
Okay. I just remember sitting next to, this is another good Sebastian moment, shout out to Sebastian. We were sitting like in the warm-up area, getting ready to warm up, and George was next to me with whoever he was coaching. I can't remember, his kid with glasses. There was a Mexican kid with glasses. I can't think of his name. Nelson was his
Nelson.
name.
Oh, yeah.
Nelson was his name, and I remember because we talked, like I was sitting next to him, so I talked to him, and then the kid like did a warm up or something like that, and he missed it, and George just walks over and he's like, "Don't be a little bitch, bro." And I was like, "Okay, that's what this is about then. Cool." And then Sebastian walks over to me and he goes, he's got his sunglasses on, and he goes, "Hey, bro, are you nervous?" And I'm like, "I'm a little nervous." And he's like, "You want to wear my glasses? No one will be able to see you. They're invisibility glasses."
He's like Big Daddy.
Just gave you a Big Daddy moment.
That's exactly where that came from. And I knew it, and I laughed, and it was funny, and that was good. That was a good icebreaker. He was good at that. So, yeah, and then that's that's kind of where that started. And we've done like, I think that first year I did like 9 weightlifting.
It was one of those. You're
Back
like,
to back.
it's like Cornell's last year.
Yeah,
Like a weightlifting meet a month.
yeah. It's gotten a lot harder to do that
Yeah.
recently because I'm older now
Yeah, and the weights are heavier.
and the weights are heavier. But yeah,
That's cool.
I think, I don't know, is that it? That's
Yeah,
it?
I don't know, man. It's your story.
Are we done with this?
Yeah, man, it's your world, Holmes. I'm just living
I
that.
don't want to talk too long. I think that's all I got.
That's all right.
No, that can't be because you're currently programming for.
I mean, that's.
Are we talking about the coaching thing
No, we're not
too?
talking about the coaching thing.
We're talking about weightlifting, how we got into weightlifting.
Well, then I mean, but still,
Yeah, what
like-
the hell, Francis?
But then he gets into.
That's we're gonna
coaching.
come back around.
Fine.
We'll come back around on the circle for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
circle around.
You got a circle. It's a
Circle.
circle. It's a
It's
circle.
a circle.
It's a circle.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
Francis,
Me?
tell us how you got into weightlifting.
Nice.
Yeah, turn the mic.
So they
Have a
can actually
pause.
hear me. Really heavily.
Whoa. James Earl Jones.
When I was a young lad,
When I was a young lad.
I thought of the same thing.
I did not grow up big on sports.
Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. Just interrupt me. It's okay. I did not grow up big in sports, although I played sports. But
What'd you play?
I used to play when I was younger. I played a lot of soccer when I was equivalently.
What sports did you play though?
Soccer. Wow. Let me tell my story.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Soccer's cool.
It's cool. Yeah. Yeah. Look at it. That's on video.
Dylan's
I'm not
gonna
editing.
listen.
We're not editing this out.
Caleb will disagree.
That's what Chris here does.
Yep.
So yeah, I didn't play any organized sports when I was a kid. I have played soccer, basketball. I played a little bit of baseball, but like it's like when I was a kid in the backyard, you just throw the ball at each other and whack it with a stick or whatever. I swam a lot when I was younger because I used to have asthma, or well, my asthma was very prevalent when I was younger, and what my dad thought was helping him with his asthma was a lot of working out, but he thought I should just start swimming, this full body thing, and a lot of breathing. So I swam for a while. I didn't do it super competitively, but I did learn almost all of the strokes. I think I was really bad at butterfly, because I understand that to save my life, literally.
Are you
I-
good
I
at
would
the
drown.
breaststroke?
Oh yeah, easy. Cake.
I remember when I learned the breaststroke, I was like, "This is the easiest thing in the world." I was like, you're like, they're like, glide.
Dan it. Dan it. Dan it.
Okay, so you're swimming, you're practicing breathing to get better at breathing.
Yeah, because I was
Breathing.
born heavily unable to breathe correctly.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I mean, it literally does suck.
Yeah. Sucks and gasps.
But yeah, so throughout then and then into high school, again, I didn't really play sports. I was focused on studies because that's what my parents wanted. And then, actually, what really drove me back into working out more was actually a little bit into high school when my brother joined. And my brother got a little bit more of the lax treatment. Literally, he played lacrosse and he was a little bit lax with the whole parenting thing. So he played lacrosse, and lacrosse was in the sport I didn't even know about. I didn't even know about it in high school. Like I went to the University of San Diego High School, and we had a pretty big lacrosse program.
You went to the University of
Of
San Diego High School.
Yep,
It's a thing.
that was what it was
I
called.
believe you if you seconded.
Yeah, because Nick was seconding it for me.
Francis is like, if Francis says something, he's like, yes, and I'm like, okay, I believe it.
It got renamed, so later on, it moved to Del Mar, and it's now called Cathedral Catholic. So if you know of Cathedral Catholic,
I know that.
They
better.
moved the high school.
yeah, they literally
They picked it up and moved it.
yeah, of
That's
course, they
a
were really strong. School.
Really strong school. That's one of those old brick schools. It's a big helicopter.
Oh, yeah.
Giant helicopter.
So they moved their location to Del Mar, made it way like larger. The campus was much larger. They even had dedicated like buildings now for, I think they have like a basketball court, and they also have pools or something like that. I hadn't been there in a while. But they also upped the price for the admission, so that's cool. But it was my brother who started lacrosse and was working out, and you could tell that he enjoyed it. And he played on the lacrosse team for uni. And then he had asked me if I wanted to learn lacrosse, and I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I already just throwing a ball and a little like stick. What else can you do?
Sounds easy.
It's super easy.
Sounds easy.
So I played like catch with him, like playing lacrosse. And that would actually start where I would kind of like trust him in everything fitness. Because after high school, he got into personal training a little bit more down the line. So while I was in college, he got into like that career path. He learned about personal training. And then again, throughout college, I didn't really do much. I actually ran in college, which is
Hard.
hard.
Running is hard.
It's hard.
And I don't think I'll,
This is for the most part like the anti-running
yeah.
coach group.
Yeah, I'm not,
I
yeah.
feel like if it was easier, I would do it. Like if I could do it better, more easily, then I would do it more, just like for fitness sake,
Yeah,
just so
yeah.
I don't breathe so hard all the time. But it's really hard. So I
Yeah,
don't-
right? Like, I know I haven't really found that solution to where you can just do running easier. It's
No.
never easier.
Just saying.
So I ran as much as I could. I ran those like little 5K things that was kind of like big around that time.
Little 5K?
I know, right? They were took the wind out of me after
You're
like the first
you're like,
mile.
I got 30 minutes. Go for a little 5K.
That's generous, 30 minutes. I mean,
That was about where I stood on the, like a 3-mile run. Was like
Yeah.
29 minutes. That's what I say. I didn't get any better. It was 29 minutes.
Yeah,
29 minutes,
that's like
29
a
minutes,
5K is like 3.1.
yeah, like my average for like my 5Ks were
Yeah.
like basically like 30 minutes. Give
Yeah.
or take. So, I mean, I wasn't horrible. I got worse, but it wasn't horrible. That was only through college. Once my brother was actively working as a personal trainer, then he got into CrossFit, and he was trying to tell me about it, but I wasn't big on gyms for one, lifting anything heavy for two, because I was a string bean who couldn't lift anything, and then three, it just didn't appeal, you know. And I'm sure he like tried to like get me to do a lot of things, but it never clicked. Then later on, I had asked him, this was post-college, this is actually more into like my late 20s. I asked him, hey, how would you get stronger? Like, what would be the best way to get yourself like stronger? You lift heavier or do these things better? He's like, oh, just do like weightlifting. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he said weightlifting, but he meant like kind of in general. It wasn't Olympic weightlifting.
He meant like
you know,
bench pressing and curls
Yes.
and like stuff like that.
Lift weights.
yeah.
Lift weights.
Lift
not,
weights.
Not weightlifting. They're
not,
different.
Not weightlifting,
They are
lifting
different.
weights.
They are
Let's
different.
not get into that though, because we're gonna
Oh,
like,
we're
just
gonna
make
like,
people angry.
we're gonna make everyone angry about it.
I don't care.
I know. I know you don't care.
I don't care. I'll make
We're
it.
Francis is telling a story.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay,
sorry,
sorry,
Francis.
that's
I'm
good.
sorry.
Let's round back. Let's round back.
Sure.
So he taught me the powerlifting movements, what I learned later on, right? So squat, bench, deadlift. Squatting was great. I had no problems with that as like kind of
It's because you're super flexible.
there. That was probably it, to be honest.
He was like, so you just want me to put this on my back and sit down?
And sit down, yeah.
And stand back up?
I just want to go ahead and say that before we continue, that Francis is not that flexible,
Right?
technically speaking.
It's gotten
Or
better.
part, like he can do some things. He's got good flexibility in some ways and really
That's
bad
true.
flexibility
Yeah,
in other ways.
That's
it's,
true.
it's gotten better.
I'm
We can go over that
always
later.
impressed with his flexibility.
We
It's
can
just-
go over that
He can
later.
he can squat. He's got good flexibility, like just squatting down, like just to the floor.
He's got like good
This
ankle
is,
flexibility.
This is what I need from coaches. Need them to know.
So, like,
what
have you seen him
exactly
try to
what I
stretch his hamstrings before he started stretching?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that
yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was
I think my hamstrings are like
mad.
looser than
It's like
his.
watching an old lady try to bend over. Dude.
Yeah, it was.
Oh no!
It was like, we were like, Francis, just keep your legs real straight and just see how far you can like just hinge over. And he's like,
Nope.
and that was
And
it.
then his back just starts like rolling.
Oh yeah, crumpling into like itself. Like that's the only way.
Like
I'm
a
gonna-
sad noodle.
But he's come a long way. You could see he's been practicing.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can see
yeah.
it.
He
He's
put
been-
it
I
on
was gonna
Instagram
say,
the other
yeah.
day.
You need to
Put-
post like
post on my
did he
Instagram.
post the before and the after?
I think so. Didn't you
It was a
play-
while ago.
Yeah.
You've got to have like the before still, right?
Oh yeah, no, I have
I
them.
feel like you don't throw any videos away.
No, I try not to.
I delete videos all the time.
Yeah, well, they fill up, but like I just put them like in a little hard drive.
I don't have.
Oh, you like keep them.
Well, it depends. Like if I don't really care about it anymore, then it's a throwaway, you know. But that one is like that was
Just buy a really big
progress.
phone storage.
Storage.
Cornell's like, what do you got with a terabyte?
What
Just big now.
How am I gonna not run out of like storage space?
Cornell's
ever?
phone's as thick as a Game Boy.
That's a lot. Storage.
Yeah,
That's a lot of weightlifting videos. That could be
that would be a lot of weightlifting videos.
My,
Okay.
my normal videos are an hour long.
Yeah.
right.
And then I pull everything out and I forget to delete the hour.
And then what he does is instead of like snipping the hour,
No, yeah, he
shows the
screen records.
Yeah.
And you can see like the thing, and he's like, "Brrr, speed it up. Got it.
I mean, that's his thing. He
That's
should
totally his
keep
thing.
that. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
forever and
It's
it's
not,
it
it's
works.
not
yeah,
the wrong way to do it.
No, I didn't
No.
say it
It
was
works
our way.
great.
Yeah.
It's faster, it's easier, keep going.
Yeah, you should keep talking.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Here we go.
Squat, bench, deadlift. Squats were great. Benching, I'm never doing ever in my life. Deadlifts are deadlifts, and they were cool because like you can pick up so much weight when you actually do them properly. But they're boring. Sorry, I know you're gonna hate me for that. They're really boring to me.
Deadlifts are not boring.
Deadlifts suck, dude.
They're
We'll get
like,
back to that.
We'll get
yeah,
back
you're
to
gonna
that.
round back down to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Thor, right?
Yeah.
The other day had his 501
1
kilogram.
Got to pull under.
Yeah.
Yeah. Could have been way easier that way. Taught me that, and then he was working on his Olympic lifts. So every once in a while, when I was doing something like squatting, he would be on the racks too, but he would also be working on a power clean. And that was the first time I had seen it, and I was like, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh, that's a clean." And I'm like,
It's like
"Okay,
a
but what
deadlift
is
when
that?"
You don't quit.
Right? Like you
deadlift
don't,
that you
you don't
don't
a deadlift you don't quit on.
It's a really high deadlift. That's a deadlift and catch.
Oh my god. He showed it to me and I was like, wow, that's a lift? That's lifting? That's really awesome. I'm like, why am I not doing that? He's like, you want to learn? I don't know if you be catching on really quick, but you can try. And I'm like, better than
He was right.
benching.
Doesn't catch on very quick.
Hey,
Hey,
there, fella.
I'm right
I'm
here.
kidding. I'm kidding. That was
Right here.
I know.
Okay.
I wait till he leaves.
Wait till I leave.
All right.
Come on.
He's got cool hair now. Be nice.
He does.
I know,
He's got
right?
like the faux hawk thing going.
It's awesome.
It is.
I
awesome.
don't think you
We're the
should.
most jealous.
Yeah.
I don't think you should. I don't think you should ever change that.
No, I
it's-
think-
I mean, I might not. It's gonna stay.
I think you should grow the goatee out so long that you can like braid it.
Like,
No, I just think that you should shape it a little better so it's not so long right here. and
Yeah,
it goes,
right.
Like straight into like a point
Point.
like that, and then you could do that when you do the thing. You don't go like this anymore.
oh,
You
yeah,
go
it's
like
not this, it's this.
Yeah.
and you make the face too, like.
You gotta like. So you learned how to power clean.
Yes, and that was where it all started. Like I learned how to power clean, and then started cleaning, and then realized that it wasn't just a clean. You had in competition you had to do a snatch, so I tried to learn snatching. Snatching was tough, doing by yourself. So I was like, I need to find a gym. Lo and behold, we'll get to that later. But
I remember like when Francis first came in, and I think somebody showed me like oh yeah, his Instagram was it? Yeah, you showed me his Instagram.
Probably
That's,
Cornell.
it's probably Cornell because he's all about the like looking people up. And
Cornell likes to see
No.
what he's getting himself into.
he totally does. He's like a Instagram stalker. But I remember he came over and you had all these videos of you working out
Yep.
at like a 24-hour fitness, doing snatches and clean and jerks and stuff, and I was like, okay.
Oh no, I remember when Ashley had like her like one-on-one.
yeah,
Oh,
thing
her
with him.
assessment.
The assessment.
And she did that on purpose. She scheduled that while we were in here.
Yeah.
At like a 7 o'clock time, and she like comes over and she's like, "Hey Nick, come here." And I walk over and she's like, "Okay, Francis, go ahead and do it." And then like he does a lift. I can't remember. It was like I think it was a clean.
it probably was clean.
And she was like, "Yeah, what do you think? Like, do you think you can just like join the class or whatever?" And I was like, "Yeah, it'll be all right." I was like, "That'll do.
That'll do.
That'll do.
That'll do, pig.
That'll do, pig." No, but like it's it's hard to. That was a thing. Short interlude. There was like back at the old gym, that was a thing. Like we would have like these random like people come in that didn't know what they were doing, and then
Yeah.
you just spend the entire time in the corner like talking to that person, and everybody else is just kind of like doing their own thing.
Yeah.
So it's like that's a good thing about this place is that we can kind of like
there's
an on ramp.
yeah.
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 Rather than like just like, hey, look, check this out, bro. It's pretty
Yeah,
fun.
why don't you show up and grab this bar and put it over your head real fast? See what happens.
People won't think about that until it's them that has to like try to teach them how to do it like at the last second.
Yeah, I agree.
I know, but you do that sometimes too. Let's go.
Yeah, totally. A little bit of shade. So, and then Francis started in the classes, and
Yeah.
now he's
jumped in.
Yeah.
I mean, like you've put how much? What was your snatch? Just as like a benchmark here. Like, what was your best snatch like before you started training here?
Oh yeah, that's easy. My best snatch, it was right before I joined, right? I finally hit, I was like, oh God, I'm so excited, I hit the yellows. So I hit yellows,
50.
which
50.
50.
And what's your best snatch now?
At current, it's 77.
So you've put 27 kilograms.
Powered up 2 colors.
2 colors,
Powered
right?
up 2 colors.
He's getting close
like,
to
"Doom,
he's
doom,
getting
doom."
close to
Yeah.
Like 200 pounds.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
mean like he's getting close to like almost another color I think at this point, right? I know he's just
No,
adding another change
it just-
plate.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and like in
another change
competition set, you'd add
Yeah.
another change plate with the
So,
Yeah.
like the cool
It's
thing about this,
unfortunate,
but
but-
like you've been here for
Year and a half?
year and a half,
Yeah,
right?
year and a half now,
Yeah,
yeah.
year and a half now, and he's put on like 27 kilograms is like 56. No, it's more than that.
No, it's more, right?
27 is 60-ish.
60 pounds. Like you added 60 pounds to one.
To one.
To the hardest, like
Like technically.
yeah, Olympic lift. Like that's
How much did you weigh when you got here?
It was like 145-ish.
And now what do you weigh?
Actually, I weighed myself this morning, 69 point,
So you put on
2.
20 pounds of muscle too.
yeah.
Like,
Well.
you don't have any fat on
20 pounds. not about 20 pounds,
It's
but-
mostly muscle.
most.
Most of it is probably
Oh, yeah,
muscle.
yeah, yeah.
These
like-
bones got heavier?
Probably
That
fat.
happens. Yeah,
I'm
they
going
do.
with
I
fat.
guarantee you.
7% body fat.
I mean,
Yeah.
everything gets heavier.
Yeah.
Muscle weighs more than fat. It's a heavyweights reference.
Yeah, yeah.
I just watched that.
Did you?
Dude, so I have a heavyweights for my Zoom calls.
Fucking love that.
I have a heavyweights background of all of them like standing there with like the go-kart. So I just randomly like if I start talking about something, I'll put it on, and people like, and some people will be like, "Is that a heavyweights photo?" I'm like, "Yes, it is." And they're like, "God, I love that movie." And I was like,
So
"Right?"
good.
It's quality.
They killed the
So,
mob.
all right,
Yeah.
now we got to learn about Cornell.
Cornell.
And his. That's right. Make sure you get up in there and love it a little bit.
Smells
All
like
right.
Francis.
Smells like Francis.
I did not do much sports either growing up. I never cared about sports, never watched them. I was homeschooled, so I had to be put into sports for PE because they were like, yeah, you had PE if you went to school, so you'd have to go to PE now. So probably right before I was homeschooled, I did play soccer because it's like the easiest sport for a little tiny kid to do. They just run around circles and then chase the ball.
Yeah, I get that.
Well, I mean, any sport is kind of a simpler version of the actual sport.
Especially at that
There are
age.
rules in soccer, but there's not as many when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like watching like little kids play football, right? You're like,
Yeah. They just you have to
First-
tell them which way to run.
which way to run? Yeah,
Put on this whole protective gear.
yeah. Bubble wrap
And then
yourself.
walk.
Try to run, which turns out to be kind of a shuffle and crawl.
Shuffle and crawl.
And then once you figure that out, hold this.
Right?
This
There
thing
you go.
that's the size of like your torso.
Yeah, basically like half of them.
I think the little kids throw a different size football. Like I'm fairly confident they use like a small.
It's still giant
I mean,
for like little tiny kids.
Yeah.
So I played maybe 2 years of soccer. Then after that, I might have played a summer league of basketball that sucked because it was like just way more running and they didn't lower the rim for us when we were like
That's rude.
7, right? Like I remember just throwing as hard as I could and it's like here's the rim and just be like
It's just
I'm like I hit the dangle thing.
It's like giving Lincoln a regular
Yeah.
men's bar. Here you go, bud. Try to lift that.
He gets
And-
like the side of it and picks up
Yep.
the side.
Lincoln's 4.
Yeah, he's almost 5.
He's still 4.
He's still 4.
Yeah, so I'm accurate on that.
So I played a summer of that, and then I didn't want to play sports anymore, and my parents were like, you have to play a sport, so pick one. I'm like, I want to play football. Like, no, you're going to get hurt. So like, well, what's left? Like, well, there's a baseball field right like a mile away. How about you play baseball? You're going to go to tryouts. And I'm like, tryout? I don't even know how to play. So I think I missed like 15 or 16. No, they did T-ball first. I didn't have to try out for T-ball.
It's easier. T-ball's easier.
First game, I didn't know much about it. Hit the ball. The other team was pretty good, I thought. They actually got me in a pickle between home and first. So I'm running back and forth, not knowing that
Yeah, between
I just have
home
to
and
get,
first?
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Literally
Okay.
going from.
Like what normally happens
was-
between like
You're
the
talking
other
about from
bases.
like, okay, from home and first.
Yeah.
You said from first, and I was like all the way around? Like, I don't
No,
know.
like I'm here and I have to go here, and I was like, oh crap, he got it. So I started to run back because I was scared. And then they threw it back to the catcher.
Technically, all they had to do was touch first base
Yeah.
and you're out. And
Yeah.
Did they not do that?
They did not do that.
Farewell. He was in a pickle.
Well, how old are you?
I was 6 or 7.
No.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
I was just asking, did they touch the base or did you guys just do that for fun?
The coach in the sidelines is like, touch
The
the
coaches, the coaches are just like, bro, he's out. And the kids are like, we're playing
No!
baseball.
Try to throw a ball at him.
Get him out!
So then the next year I got to bump up to like the Bs, and then I got to play in the As. And then I played a winter ball league, and this was all like forced by my parents. And then I was able to be done, and it was cool because by then I was probably 10 or 11 years old. And all the teams, the coaches just stuck me in the outfield. And I was like, this sucks. I just stand out here and don't do anything. So I didn't like it. And then little tangent, but in high school, one of my friends was playing baseball, and he's like, let's play catch. And I went from maybe 10, 11 years old, where they can throw the ball 15, maybe 20, 25 miles an hour, to a guy who's throwing like 75 miles an hour at my face. I was like, no, I don't like this.
I'm not into playing catch with you, bro.
Yeah.
And then I started getting into more like sports that were individualized sports. So when I stopped doing baseball, my parents said, okay, well, you're going to do karate. I'm like, okay, we'll try this. Didn't really want to do it. Like, yeah, you're going to get your black belt, and we're going to send you a place that teaches you real karate. Doesn't just every 6 months you get a new belt and then you pay them more and more money. So it literally took me from 10 till 22 years old to get my black belt. Got my black belt, put it on, left, took it off, done.
Never
The,
put it
the
on
rule was, or what they said was I had to get my black belt. So I got my black belt, and that was it.
I feel like the moral of Cornell's story here is that, like, don't try to make me do stuff.
That I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll do it, but I'm only going to do what you want me to do.
I'm gonna do it until it's done, and then
Yeah.
I'm finished forever.
So at that
like
same time, I was starting to get into like rollerblading. I wasn't very good at skateboarding. I tried to put like the bungee cord on the skateboard to so I could jump with the board. That's what I thought it was called, the ollie. But you put a bungee cord over the board, and then you could like just lift your feet and you would ollie.
Bungee
And
your
I was
feet
like,
to the
this is
board,
cool.
dude.
I never did that.
I never skateboarded.
I
so-
skateboarded. I never did that.
Well, good for you.
But then I transitioned from then into rollerblading because that was becoming more and more popular, and I got pretty good at that. I was sponsored by a couple places, and I did competitions and stuff, and I was supposed to get to go to the X Games in the junior division, like the under 15, and my parents wouldn't let me because I had a karate tournament. So that's another reason why I didn't like karate. I probably kept rollerblading till I was about 17, and I got my driver's license, and I was like, I don't have to rollerblade everywhere anymore.
Yeah, right. That's why I stopped skateboarding when I was like 16. I was like, well, I don't need this thing.
And my parents, or my dad growing up, he was always water skiing, so we had a boat, and by the time I was 18, he'd let me take to the boat to the lagoon, and I could like bring friends, and it was like the new one-on-one sport. never was taught how to do anything, kind of had to figure it all out. So I got decent for the group that was with us, but I wasn't like good or anything. Like I figured out how to do a flip and I could spin around and stuff, but then I kept doing that till 24, 25 years old. But it just got really expensive because I was the one paying for all the gas, and it sucks. And people, they're like, oh, here's $5. I'm like, cool. I just paid $45 for today's session. So, and that was when gas was cheap.
Yeah, right.
That's what I hear about boats. I hear boats are cool, but like you can't drive them anywhere.
Boats are
if
really
you don't
expensive.
have like a ton of money to like, because
Yeah.
gas is super expensive.
You know what boat
to drive a
stands
boat
for?
anywhere.
Bring out another 1,000, like for
Is that-
repairs.
yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
And they'll say the best 2 days for your boat is the day you buy it and the day you sell it.
Yeah, I've heard that also. I know that everybody that I know that has boats, like, they're like, yeah, I got a boat. Like, that was this.
Yeah, we sit in it on the weekends and
Yeah, that
party and
was.
shit.
I had a guy I was in the Marine Corps with who had a boat down in like the slip. His name was DJ Ben DeJarna. He bought a boat to live in,
Okay.
and he was like, yeah. And then we helped him we had to change the motor in the boat, and like he didn't put the bolts back in all the way or something like that. And he came back the next day, went to work, came back, and his boat was gone.
Oh
It
man.
was sunk. And he got like fined. Like it was a big deal. Cause like it like he was like littering in the ocean, like, and they couldn't pull another boat into the slip because
bro.
like his boat was in the way.
Your piece of junk is down there.
Yeah, that was
That's littering, okay? You're getting gas in the water,
that was-
oil in the
that was-
water,
It was like
there's
Coronado,
trash
like on
floating
the
to the
beach
top,
or whatever.
your trash is at the bottom of the,
I remember like I was asking, I was like, how are you gonna get your boat out of here? And he was like, I'm watching this video that Mythbusters did about ping pong balls. And I was like, I just looked at it, I was like, whatever, DJ, man. I'm not gonna.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
we're almost to Cornell's weightlifting part of the
Oh,
story.
yeah. So.
That's cool. So that being said, I never really did much team stuff. It was always like individual. I could excel as much as I wanted for the amount of work that I put into it. After we got rid of the boat, I didn't have anything to do, and I was at Costco and saw a surfboard, so I bought a surfboard and did that for a couple years. Slowly, got married at that point. I had a kid, not me personally, but my wife had a kid. And I was slowly getting larger and larger. Didn't have a boat, but one of my friends did, went on a wakeboarding trip, came home, watched all the videos and stuff, and I was like, I got fat. And I was around 240, 245, and not muscly. Like I was kind of built thicker, but it was not muscle. Like I look back at it now and I'm like, I was skinny fat. Like hamstrings are like this big, like everything else. Yeah, it just wasn't good. So I was like, all right, I need to do something. So I tried the 24-hour fitness thing, and that I didn't get any fat, or I didn't get fatter. I probably did get fatter because I was like, I worked out, now I can eat.
California burritos.
There we go. And then one of my clients was like, hey, you should try this CrossFit thing. You'd be good. And I was like, all right, cool. He's like, I live in Carlsbad. This is where I go. I'm like, I live in Escondido. I'm not going to go there. So then I moved like a month and a half later to Vista, and he was like, yeah, you need to try it. Come on, try it. And then I just looked up where one was, and there was one like a half mile from my new house. So I was like, all right. So I gave that a shot, went in on a Saturday, did the workout, partner workout, carrying wall balls, doing all this stuff. I'm just dying. Like handstand push-ups and jump rope and running with a ball. So I was like, all right, that was cool. All right, I'm gonna go home. Pulled out of the parking lot, got to the light, opened my door and just started puking. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not good. It was probably like 9:30. Got home, fell asleep, didn't wake up till like 5 p.m.
Little did Cornell know that like the puking thing was going to become a trend.
A trend. It's a thing now.
That's
Still
how
puking.
That's how I know that I'm working hard. So then Monday, I called him or emailed him or something. This was a long time ago. Was there email? There was probably email by then.
Yeah, I'm gonna say there was probably email. Yeah, there was email when you were like 10.
Email's been around for a while.
And then I signed up for my classes. I started the next week. I didn't know how to do anything, so I did have to do the fundamentals, and started there. I went from about 240, 245 down to 190 in 3 months. Looking back at the pictures, I was not skinny fat anymore. I was just skinny, but I wasn't like jacked or anything. I was just a twig. And then the same coach that Nick had, because it was the same gym, he started a weightlifting class. Like, I started in November. That started in February. So for Valentine's Day, I bought myself some weightlifting shoes.
Self-love.
And
Yeah.
that's where the weightlifting
Yeah.
store started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's like, anytime I want to love myself, I just buy shoes.
I don't buy that many shoes anymore because I own them
Because
all.
he has them all.
Well, he has them all. But every time a new shoe comes out,
I don't have it yet, so I need
Not
it.
yet.
yeah, not yet,
So
but now.
started doing that, and then I enjoyed that a lot more. I was getting stronger. I was realizing I was doing it for getting better at CrossFit, because what Sebastian said is, if you're doing one of those, what's it? I don't remember if it's snatches or clean jerks, like Isabel. Is that
Which is
snatches? He's like, if you're doing snatches at 135 and your best snatch is 155, you're doing like 90% for 30. He's like, if you can get up to 225, then all of a sudden it's 60%, so you can go faster. So I was like, that makes sense. So
It does make sense.
yeah,
I mean, he's not wrong.
Science.
It's objectively makes sense.
Yeah.
and then he was like, the way that you're going to get better at that, or to get stronger to build up your snatches, you have to be able to maintain the weight and squat. So then I started squatting a bunch. Still don't like it. Didn't like it then, but I got better at it.
Cornell's crooked though, so it's
He is
hard.
crooked.
I am crooked. I broke my femur when I was
His back's as
2,
crooked as a.
His back's probably kind of straight. It's-
Yeah, I know.
and the hips just look really bad now when I squat down. But I figured out how to make it work.
I mean, I like to watch you squat.
I think it's pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah.
But then once I got to, after a year and a half, I was snatching around, I'm going to go in pounds because it makes more sense, and it was in pounds at the time. I was snatching around 240, 245, and I could not get past that point. I put 250 on the bar multiple times and just could not do it. And I was realizing that it was because I was doing CrossFit in the morning and coming in the afternoon to weightlift. I started skipping a couple CrossFits in the morning, and all of a sudden I was able to be way more consistent. And then I was like, you know what? I can't be good at both. I have to pick one. And one of them does not require running or jumping rope.
This message was brought to you by Cornell George.
So
PSA.
Public.
I decided to kind of just stop CrossFit. I was coaching it around that time, but I decided that I was just not really going to do much CrossFit. I probably did 1 to 2 classes every 2 to 3 months. It was kind of like if no one showed up at 5 a.m. but one person, I was like, yeah, you're not going to work out alone. So I would work out with them. But I went from I think 2 months later, we did our first meet, which was 5 years ago right now, and then I hit that 250, it was like a 113, it's like 251 in pounds. And then from then on, like less than a year later, I hit 275, and it was just like all these numbers started just skyrocketing because I was stopping doing all the stuff that was inhibiting me. So,
Yeah, I think it's important, like, a lot of people will say this, like, you can't do CrossFit and be a good weightlifter, right? So here's the thing on that, like, it wasn't something that worked for you.
yeah.
There are people who are really good weightlifters and really, really good CrossFitters. Like, like Matt Frazier. What?
Nothing.
Go ahead. Oh.
Progenics.
Progenics?
Progenics,
He's
yeah.
got some Progenics.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to.
We're not
We're not having
What's
that.
the, what's
Yeah.
the, what's like the legal term for like slander? Is it slander? Is that what it is?
Defamation.
Defamation,
Defamation.
yeah, of character or something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Anyways, there are people out there who have nothing else going on and can be good at both.
I hear that. I believe that they would be much better weightlifters if they stopped CrossFitting.
I agree.
They are what appears to be good, but they are not really peaking out at both.
No, I agree.
Like they could be such better weightlifters
So
if
that's
they
like,
stopped
and that's the
CrossFit.
whole like. I'm not trying to like defend like
Sure.
CrossFit or anything like here. Like that's
We're not here to bash CrossFit.
No.
We just
No.
do that naturally. And it's not because we hate CrossFit as a thing. We like just don't like to do it
Yeah.
necessarily.
But that's like there's something for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
Like if you guys were all like, hey, we're gonna start running more, I'd be like, well, I guess I just need to find some more friends, you know, like.
I can tell you that I tried to run around on like a grass field yesterday with the Marines because we were playing. It was like ultimate frisbee with just like a bouncy ball thing, and that we were down a person. So I was like, okay, I'll play, and I basically like strained my calf, like running around on like uneven grass for the first time in however many months that I ran.
Yeah.
I was breathing really hard, and my calf hurts now. So. I did decide that I need to do more fitness in my life, but I will not do CrossFit.
Yeah.
And I will not run.
How about you just go back to the 20-rep back squat?
I'll probably basically just take all of my accessories and just like make them a circuit.
There you go.
That's all I'll do.
But the whole idea is like you don't have to like if somebody doesn't like weightlifting, okay, like that's not your thing. Like I don't like running or breathing real heavy or any of that stuff, so I don't like do that.
But you never know until you try.
That's true, and I can say that I've tried everything for the most part.
Within 15 steps, I
It was
know.
really difficult.
No,
That was too fast.
I've ran a
First 5
marathon.
steps.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was so you remember how you were talking about like you've never like trained for running, but you know that you like. So I trained for running. I did this whole like I read books on it. I listened to a metronome to like hit my pace count and all this. Like I went all into it. Like was like okay, like oh yeah, it was like how many like steps. I did all this stuff. I did 16 weeks of like following this training program to get ready for a marathon. And I was like all right. And everybody was like, yeah, when you hit that runner's high, I was like, I don't really feel that. Like, I've never gotten there. I went and ran it was a rock and roll marathon in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's
So it's cool. Because, like, you get to run the strip and all that.
It's hot, and you're like,
No, it's in December.
that
So
was a
it's
bad
good.
choice.
It's not super hot. But, like, I ran it, and I got done, and I was like, and my grandfather was like, so he's like, was that, great job? And I was like, that was the worst thing I've ever done in my entire life. And I've done some really bad things, right? And I was like, no.
never.
I went around, when I was in the Marines, like we test your like 5K, like a 3-mile run. My average was like 25 minutes, right? And I was like, all right, cool. I've trained for 16 weeks running. That's all I did was run and lift nothing. Just ran. 3 weeks later, I went in to go test my like 3-mile run again, and I like dropped 30 seconds off my run. And I was like, I just trained for 16 freaking weeks, and I dropped 30 seconds off my 3-mile time. Are you freaking kidding me? Like, I was like, that is literally like a week every 2 seconds. Like I trained for 2 weeks to lose a second.
It's just like such a like uncomfortable thing to do for a long time.
Yeah.
Like when you run, like you can't do it in like 3 seconds
No.
and then stop and then do it again for 3 seconds because they're not gonna get anywhere. You have to do it for a really long time. That sucks.
Yeah.
It's just not fun.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense, runners.
Yeah, no, like runners, like good for you. Like,
I mean, it's impressive. It's cool that you can do that, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
You know
So
what's
I don't
cooler?
have the mental capacity to do that.
Snatching 300 pounds.
that is also,
That is
I mean, like,
fairly
I
cool.
think that's cooler.
I can't speak to that.
Almost.
Almost. You're getting there, buddy. It's good.
Positive reinforcement. Thanks, guys.
My bad.
Wow. Well, I can't snatch 300 pounds. There's that, Nick.
That would be like triple body weight for you.
Yeah.
All right.
But like the other thing on that is you've got a lot of like that's like so somebody was weird. I was having this conversation with somebody. I was like, listen, like you are into. She's a distance runner. She's like an ultra runner. And I was like, she's like, well, I really want to start doing more strength training. I was like, that's cool. She said, but I really don't enjoy it at all. She's nothing about it. She was every time I'm lifting weights, all I think about is I want to go for a run. was like, well, that's fine. That's why there are different animals on the Sahara Desert. Like, not everybody is an antelope. Like, it's not just a world built of antelopes, right? You have, like, antelopes, cantaloupes, and bantaloupes, and rantelopes. Those aren't real animals.
So much
I don't
antelope.
think. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I had
Well,
no idea.
listen.
Yeah, I just,
Listen,
I, was,
Dr.
I really
Seuss.
thought that there were.
He was really going over
He was
that
like,
really confidently.
He's
I'm
like,
just
yeah.
They're all in the lope family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What genus is that? It's the elope genus. But that's why you have like different. Everybody. You've got different things, right? 20 years or 200 million, not 200 million.
However many million.
Yeah, however many.
However many.
2 million years ago.
Sure.
When my great grandfather was around, like they were totally like hunters and gatherers, and there were hunters that like would chase down an animal, and then there were hunters that like would fight an animal. Like I wasn't the chasing guy. I totally get that. Like I would be like, all right, saber-toothed tiger.
I'm gonna hit you with this rock.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up this big rock and throw it
You
at
and
you.
me, we
I
go,
might just
we go
carry
tussle.
it with me and hit you in the face.
Yeah.
I might get real up close and personal. I might get clawed a little bit. That's why I got all this meat.
Other cavemen are looking around like, why are you carrying that 20-pound or that 200-pound rock around? Just in case. Never know when one of them Cyber-2's
Walking
gonna
around
come.
like dragging it with a rope behind you, just like
Boom! We're having saber-tooth tonight. Yeah, you guys have fun running after that
it's only
thing.
got one tooth now.
It's a Uno tooth.
It's not. He doesn't have saber teeth anymore. He just has the one tooth.
Saber-tooth.
That's saber-tooth.
So, like the cool thing about what I really like about everybody's story is how like we all started like, all right, cool, like I want to get into this. I have reasons for this, and then how that brought us into coaching, right? Like I came from a background, like I was in high school showing people how to lift weights, not weight lift.
Yeah, lift weights.
Lift
Pick up
weights,
heavy things.
pick up heavy things. And so I like started that, and then when I was in the Marine Corps, like I showed people how to do stuff, and like that just kind of progressed. And I tell people this all the time, like I'm not a great coach. I am an okay coach because I've been doing it for a long time. But I'm
No, I think that still makes you a great coach.
no, it doesn't. Listen, I could paint houses every day, but that doesn't mean I'm a good house painter.
You're not wrong, but
Right? He's a good house painter. I'm not a good.
I mean, people paid him to paint.
That's right.
Stuff,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he
Nobody's
must
ever
have-
paid me.
He must have been
Testament
like
to how good
he must have been
he
like
is.
somewhat good at it, or people wouldn't have done that
Yeah.
at all. So there
Right.
you go.
There you go, Picasso.
who you know.
It's more who you know. But
Good personality.
he does have a good personality.
Hey, yeah. No looks.
You're not an ugly looking guy.
It's like looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Is that me calling you ugly?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not saying that you guys look exactly alike, but Lincoln has called Cornell dad before.
Yeah, totally.
And Nora.
And Nora, yeah.
So-
Nora's totally grabbed
Like
like.
last week.
So there's that.
Listen, I'm not gonna use the reference of my children and how much and how I look like Cornell.
If it makes you feel better, they don't love me. They just think that I'm you.
They
That's
just
true.
think
Right.
He looks like you.
Right? So, I don't know what yeah. That's not the point. I don't remember what I was saying. The point is,
You're an antelope.
Coach.
cantaloupe.
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 Rantelope.
Rantelope.
Of the
Cantaloupe.
elope.
Cantaloupe.
The elope
You're the
genus.
elope genus.
But my favorite part about all this is like helping people is that aha moment,
Yeah.
right? When somebody is like struggling with something, and you've given them 20 cues and they've tried 20 different things and they've worked with other coaches, and then all of a sudden it clicks, and they're just like, oh, I get it now. Like I still haven't got that with my jerks. Like that still doesn't make sense for me really. But
Better don't look at me.
I was like,
that's my favorite part about coaching.
That's good.
I think
What-
that.
You didn't tell us how you got into coaching though. Like that was the question on the.
Was it gonna be? Yeah. Was
That was a
part two?
question on the.
On the introduction.
The survey that you sent me via text message earlier today. So
No. How I got into coaching.
No one else got that survey. by the way.
It wasn't a real survey. I just said, what are we gonna talk about?
And I gave him some I was like, I don't know, we'll talk about this.
He was just like, we're just gonna show up and have a conversation, and people are gonna
Yeah,
listen.
guy, why you gotta have a
Walk the
plan
shit.
about everything, guy?
Shit the talk.
Yeah, I got into coaching just because I enjoy doing stuff, and I kind of progressed a little naturally at it. Like I have I think a natural tendency in strength and stuff like that, and movement and mechanics sometimes make sense to me, and I just tried to help other people do it. And for like a long time, I've just been trying to help other people do it. I got into CrossFit coaching coaching CrossFit because I come from a family of like really fat people, and I was like, I don't want to be that fat, and now here I am, that fat. But
I wouldn't call you that fat. I don't know how fat you're talking
That
about.
heavy. Muscle weighs more.
Muscle weighs more.
I'm
Muscle
heavy.
weighs more
Remember.
than fat.
Yeah.
Also burns more calories.
It does. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was probably one of the few things that I ever picked up from like an LA Fitness. I sat down with a guy and he's like, "Listen, if you have 100 pounds of muscle, you require this many calories. But if you have 120 pounds of muscle and you continue to eat the same number of calories, you'll just lose weight." And I was like, I like this guy.
Unfortunately, as you gain muscle, you want to eat more
Yeah,
calories.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So that's
So
how
it's
we
hard-
get back
It's
to
harder than you think.
That's how we get back to like I'm doing rails of Oreos.
Same.
Rolls.
Rails.
I've eaten
Rails. Sorry.
3 like packs of Oreos in the past like month, dude. Like almost by myself.
Yeah, you're like 3 weeks over than me. I've eaten 3 things of Oreos and
I'm talking about
A
like
week.
whole packages.
I'm talking about like the
No.
Rails.
The rails.
I'm talking about like
You gotta line that
like I went to
Oreo.
Vaughn's and I picked up a pack of Oreos.
But what size pack of Oreos?
Like the family pack.
Well, that's you
Are
get
they thins or are they doubles or
They're like mega stuff.
mega stuff.
But
Mega stuff.
there's like, you know, like 5 or 6 little Oreos and there's 4 rows of them.
Yeah.
That's like a family pack.
Yeah.
And they're 180 calories per like for 2.
That's why I like the thins, because I'm like, I get to eat 4 and it's the same as 2 of those.
I hate thins because they don't have as much stuff in them.
You want a little more cream.
They
I'd
lack
like more
stuff.
cream.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
a
had a
little
little
bit
bit more cream.
more cream.
I'd like a lot bit more cream, please.
They should
We-
just, they
we
should
even
just
went
sell
so-
the cream.
Dude, they should. We even went so far as to make Rice Krispies treats
Yeah.
and put mega stuffed Oreos in them.
Yes.
It's on my coronavirus thing. has been-
That's Terry's quarantine.
Yeah. How's the
meal
Rona
plan.
been treating you? Well, we had
Fat.
fat. I had some Oreo Rice Krispie treats, so I got that going for me.
Oreo Rice Krispie treats.
So you're is that your whole story?
Yeah, that's pretty much my whole story.
Ben likes to make people aha,
I like aha.
Aha. He likes the aha moment.
abbreviated aha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's I just like trying to help people. What?
Helping people with ahas.
Ahas.
Very well. That's a good thing.
It's
It's a solid reason.
it's better than not. Also, I think so. This is totally like the more people I really like weightlifting, and the more people that I am like, hey, you should try weightlifting, and they're like, yeah, this is really cool. The more people weightlift, and then the more like people I can hang out with and weightlift.
Oh, friendship. He wants companionship.
I don't think that's wrong.
It's not.
Just not
It's not wrong to want to be loved, man.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
I mean, that's how you guys came to be like kind of here. I was like, hey.
Yeah, I distinctly remember just another like aside here. I distinctly remember a time when somebody came into the warm up area when like all of us were warming up. Cornell was there, but he wasn't lifting because he's in the like slightly skinnier group. I mean, he's like more than slightly skinnier than us, but like by weight class.
Yeah.
Somebody was like, "Man, I wish I could be a super heavyweight because you guys seem like you have a lot more fun than everybody else." And I was like, "I think you're right."
Yeah, we totally have super heavyweights. Totally have more fun. We're like, all right, we're just kind of okay with stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, like we don't have to worry about cutting weight, so we're not like all angry and shit from not eating all the time.
Yeah. There's also like the idea. I think there's a lot like when you're in the smaller weight classes. I think people are like a lot more competitive.
There's more people,
There's more people. There's less heavyweights.
so there's more competition in your weight class within like your skill level because there's more people.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the super heavyweights, you're either like, I'm either way up here, I'm way down here, or I'm just like in the like way middle where like
I
everybody else
mean,
kind of
you're,
hangs out.
you're like really big on a local scene.
No, I wouldn't even say that.
I would.
I mean, local in like North County, San Diego. Yes.
I'm saying it like San Diego County. Like Southern California, really. I would say.
I wouldn't call it Southern California.
So here's what I would say.
I don't want to talk about me.
I'm
I
going to
don't-
talk
I don't wanna
about you.
me.
I would say that if
Ben.
Nick went to a weightlifting competition anywhere in the Southern California area, he's going to podium.
Effectively blocking.
If Nick goes to a weightlifting competition anywhere, put your hand out. Anywhere in the Southern California area, he's going to podium.
I don't believe that. There's people in Southern California that would beat my ass, for lack of a better term.
But there's not generally 3 others.
That's true.
But if
He's
everybody
the-
in Southern California who was any good showed up, they would beat me. And,
Yeah,
there's,
but-
and there's 3 or more, at least.
There's like 4.
Yeah, I don't know how many.
Yeah, but
there
one
are.
of those guys is probably going to bomb out.
It's fucked up, dude.
That's last
I wasn't trying to say it like it
I what? No one said that.
Yeah,
I've
bomb
never-
outs
I've
happen.
never-
I have gone 0 for 6 at a meet before. All right.
I was there. I
Yeah,
remember that.
it was bad.
Yeah, he was angry.
I
I was angry at that one too. I bombed
Yeah.
out of that one too.
Yeah, you did.
It's good times.
Right.
You actually like made a lift.
You bummed out at that one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the one where I bombed out. I did 157 like 3 times in a row and
Yeah, you
bombed
missed
out.
all your clean jokes. I went to like 170 and didn't do anything.
I didn't know you went 0 for 6 until you missed your
Well,
last clean jerk. I'm like,
technically-
dang it, he just bombed out.
Technically, he made a snatch
I made
that
my
should
first
have
sna- yeah.
should have been a good lift, and was turned down by. It was probably what's his name?
Caesar.
Caesar
Rivera.
Caesar Rivera. Is that it?
Caesar Rivera.
Caesar Rivera from
Caesar-
SoCal Weightlifting
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Caesar Rivera from SoCal Weightlifting.
turned down the snatch that was a
Because I got
good
like
lift.
it was 2 for 1, and he was like the other person that said he was one of the people that said it was bad.
So we're blaming it on him
Yep.
entirely because he was probably the center judge. So
I think he was.
Probably. He's usually
Yeah.
the center judge when he fucks up that bad. So if he ever listens to this, which I don't know, maybe he will, maybe he
Maybe
won't.
he won't.
But if he does, then you're a butthole.
Yeah, jerkwad. They,
Heard it here first.
all right, so that's why tangents and aside. That's why I like coaching. Why do you like coaching?
So I started coaching in 2016. In 2016 because our weightlifting coach went to college because he was younger than all of us, pretty much, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He still is.
He still is.
He's still young.
Than all of us, yeah. But I mean, all of his like weightlifting, like people that he coaches maybe now, who knows? But at the time, we were like team, half masters, half like creeping on 30, and or 35. And he was leaving, so he was like, "Oh, you guys, like with me and Cornell, we're kind of like, oh, we can coach this team, whatever." So he kind of like had a trial run at it, like, "Hey, you guys, like write write what you think we should do," and like he would look at it and change it around or whatever, and then we would do it.
I think he took your program, and then he took my program, and he read yours, and goes, all right, pretty good. And he looked at mine, and was like, Bill, do a heavy, max out. Bill, do a heavy 5, max out. And he's like, we're gonna go with Nick.
You're like, that's not gonna work. For
And the more I do that, the more I like write stuff down on paper and like watch people do it, the more I'm kind of like, there's a place for that 100% of the time. So there are times when we won't do that ever for like weeks and weeks, and there are times that we will do that frequently. So I think it works both ways. But outside of that, 2016, coach leaves. So we didn't have our invisibility glasses anymore. And he went off to college to be a physics major, which is pretty cool.
Physics are cool.
Physics is cool. I'm not very good at it, but it's cool. And so started writing the program for our weightlifting team and coaching and just kind of figuring it out. And I still don't really have that whole thing figured out as far as like meet coaching and stuff is concerned, but I'm getting better at it.
Whatever.
No, like I still kind of like don't have the like 100% firmest grasp of like when to do things and when not to when it comes to like strategy. You know what I mean?
I feel like Nick's pretty good at meat coaching.
I think we all are going to agree with that, but mostly because I don't think there's been a time where he's coached the meet, in my opinion, that hasn't like at least been enjoyable.
Yeah.
There's a difference between meat being enjoyable and
Not you specifically being enjoyable.
Nick's a really good meat coach.
Yeah, I just think that it hasn't been an experience where I'm like regretting Nick coaching.
anyways, like let's just suffice it to say that like when me and Cornell are both there, it's good because I'm mostly worried about like when people are supposed to lift things and what they're gonna lift, and Cornell's like, if we go up like 3 kilos, we'll get like 5th place instead of 7th place, and I'm like, oh, okay, and we'll like try to figure that out. So he pays attention to those things a little bit more than I do.
It's because he's good at math.
It is. I feel like he's probably right.
7.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
So it's a good combination. But what I like about coaching, kind of the same thing. Like you like to see when people get stuff, like when they're like, I don't like saying aha moment because it's just like another one of those buzzwords. Sorry, Ben.
Dick.
I don't know. I'm just like one of those people that doesn't like to say the same thing that everybody else says all the time.
All the time.
Push. Jump.
Yeah, I try to say something
Heels.
different.
Push through the floor.
Yeah, I try to say something
He's
different.
like,
but-
hop. Back of the foot.
What you're gonna do here is hop. I know everybody says jump, but I want you to hop.
You mean like a bunny?
With the barbell?
With the big ears.
Yeah, with the big with the big ears.
This is why he's a different kind of coach than I am, but it fucking
Big
works.
ears.
Because that's the same thing. You remember when you did that thing with Alan, right? And he was like, just trying to teach him how to do like a power jerk or something like
Yeah.
that. And he was like, just do jumping jacks, and then like just bend your knees on the last one.
Yeah.
And he was like that, and then he did it, and we were all just kind of like, oh, fuck it,
All right, there you go, Alan.
it worked.
I mean, that's good. If you can get something through to Alan,
We have a special bond. Like, we might be related.
there's a chance that you guys are
We're
related.
both last name George.
Yeah, that's.
And I mean, how many people do you know with the last name George that are not family members?
Him.
Yeah.
But might not be, so
Yeah,
then
yeah,
it doesn't
yeah.
equate
Yeah.
anymore.
I would never make out with him if I were you, just in case.
No.
Yeah, avoid it. Might be weird in the family reunions later.
Right?
just in case.
Just in case.
Just in case, don't kiss him, okay? Because you never know, it might be like that close to inbreeding.
Okay?
I don't know.
I looked this up. I think in California, I think you can marry your first cousin.
I
It's
think
not
we
about
talked about
whether
it.
it's not about whether or not it's allowed. It's about whether or not it's like okay.
No, I think
guess, and-
that's.
Well, I know that he's further away than at least a second cousin.
Well, then you're probably okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, if you wanted to, you could probably get married.
I mean, whatever you decide, we'll support it. I don't know
Yeah,
if
yeah,
it's
yeah,
morally
yeah.
right, but we'll support it. It's okay.
Like we're here for you.
in that way, we're okay. Yeah, we're all good.
I do want to real quick. Like, how long have we been going for?
An hour and 24 minutes.
Okay,
Man.
so
We gotta
we gotta like wrap this thing up because that's
speed it up a little bit.
speed it up.
Yeah.
So coaching, I like it when people get stuff too.
Aha moments.
Moments. I just really I like to. It's not the aha moment. It's like the watching them perform after they've been working hard for a really long time, and like you go out and you tell them what to do, and then they just do it, and it's amazing, and they're super happy. Like I like it when
People are super happy.
people are super happy about doing something that they didn't think that they could do like 4 months
good,
ago
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So
Do they go aha?
not generally. Usually that's a different thing where they're like, you're like, do this better. And they're like, oh, I don't get it. Do it better, do it better. And then somebody else comes along and says,
Do it this way.
do it this
Big
way
bunny
better.
ears.
And then they're like, aha. It's not usually Cornell. It's usually somebody. It's usually like some random person that they just like saw from some other gym that was just like, check this out. And they were like, oh, we're just working out together. Aha. And I'm like, dude.
I'm trying to tell you.
And then I'm like,
Sorry, I can't say it right.
it's fine, it's
Yep.
fine. Like at least you got it. That's the important thing, right? So, so yeah, I don't know. That's not really a great answer, but it's like
That's a good answer. It's your answer.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great
Because
answer.
I think if we're gonna round it about, I
Yeah.
think that's actually that's where all of us are probably gonna kind of roll around, is the athlete that we're coaching or the person that we're teaching figure something out. Like, I think all of us probably enjoy something in that regard, but I don't know.
But we can move on.
You know, why do you like coach? Or, you know,
Well, so I'm newer to this, which is actually really great because you start to see a lot of what you were taught in other people. And I think selfishly that helps me more because I'm still new to the sport. I'm still technically a beginner, so it helps a lot to watch other people train them. And then you realize that is something that you can adapt to yourself too. I watch people pulls. So a little bit more technical, but when we're working on pulls and I watch everyone else doing pulls or working on their pulls or their starting position, anything like that, I start to see more and more on what other people tell me about, like my starting position. And if I'm like too forward, if I'm too back, or if I'm not putting the knees out the way, or if I'm, putting these way too far back. And so you start to like take it in. So selfishly, that's where I'm at. Like, I will take the coaching cues that I have learned, adapt it to another person if that's what I see that they need, and then I also can see it in myself. It's like mirroring myself.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
okay, I get
No,
it.
I get that.
On the not so selfish side, I think it's a lot of camaraderie, and I know everyone's probably gonna say that about me, and I agree with them. Like, I'm just an easygoing person to like get to. Like, people
I
can
don't
just
think really people like you that much at all.
Well, Ben. Good thing you're not a lot of people, because I think otherwise.
I feel like every time that I see something like a post or something from Francis, he's with like a new person.
Yeah.
Or like a different person. It might have been a person that you've seen before, maybe
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a month ago, but like, or he's talking about a different person, or another person's reposting
Or he's
him.
tagged someone new.
Yeah, or he's tagged someone and they're reposting him, and I'm just like, how does he even know that?
Yeah.
Like, people were cheering for Francis at SoCal, and they don't even know him.
Right?
Like,
People
we
just
said,
like
Francis, do you know who those people are? And he was like,
Yeah.
no.
I have no idea.
I don't know who those
I'm
people
sorry,
are.
guys.
And they were all like cheering for him by name. And
Yeah.
I was just like, these people don't even know who the fuck
This
these
guy
people
is.
are.
Yeah. They just, he's got like, people just see Francis and they're like, I want him to be successful. I want him to succeed.
They're just like, I want to be friends with that person.
Yeah, he seems cool.
I have no problem with that.
I don't have a problem
I
with
enjoy
it either.
it.
There you go.
I just think it's interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
I wonder what it is about Francis. Is like, is it his smell?
His aroma.
I don't know about
his
that.
pheromones.
His musk?
Caramel.
His musk.
I must have him.
I must have.
Dead jokes.
Right?
So yeah, camaraderie. That's where I'm at. So
Cornell, what makes you, what's your favorite part of coaching? Or why do you like coaching? Do you like coaching?
I like a lot of parts of coaching. I definitely know that we all have our different roles in coaching, and we all coach totally differently. And we're all I feel like every one of us is needed to make it work.
Yeah.
Nick will put 6 months into someone, and then someone will make a stupid comment, and then they get a PR and they think that the other person helped them. Someone might, like, I don't know how to explain all this, but you know what I mean.
I do.
I get it.
I get it.
I'm not really good at coaching to everybody in a huge group, but I can help people figure out, like they say, there's a dozen ways to tell someone to do something. You might know 4, you know 4, and there might be 13 ways to tell someone how to do something. You all know 4, and they're telling them 4, and I say 1, and it just so happens to be the other one that no one else said, and that's where I step in often.
He's like the fixer.
Well, a little known about Cornell. Cornell has a way of thinking about things that makes things easier. And that's
Bunny ears.
bunny ears, tall bunny ears.
All bunny ears. Big bunny ears.
So,
Big
like,
bunny
in all aspects, though, like, he takes that with him, like, all over the place. He's like, well, we could do this, or we could do this other thing, and it'll be just as good, and it's faster.
And you're like,
And I'm like, okay,
yeah, that sounds good. I like that.
yeah. I like things when they're just as good, but faster.
Yeah, and easier probably.
But I think one of the big things is I really like lifting heavy weights, and I like PRing even more. And I think that most people have what it takes to get to those PRs and lift those heavy weights, but they don't believe that they do. So then I try to show them, well, let's try this, and let's try this. And then you just kind of like dumb down the weights and make them seem lighter than they actually are, and convince them that they're lighter, and then all of a sudden they
It
have more
works.
confidence, and it works.
Yeah,
Cornell leads from the front.
it's true.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He does lead from the front.
he does. It's the tip of the spear.
He is the tip of the spear. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this up because it's we're like over an hour.
What, hour 30?
Hour 30. Well, there's like 15 minutes of bullshit in the front.
Yeah, I'm sure
So-
that he can edit out some
I'm editing.
stupid shit that we don't need in here.
Yeah.
Everything
But
is gold.
everything's gold. No, totally. So I appreciate you guys dropping in on a Saturday. Last question. What are you doing for Mother's Day? Because that's tomorrow.
Ooh, I hate you right now.
What are you doing for Mother's Day?
Okay, so I'll start. So we got brunch in a box. There's some restaurant that we ordered brunch in a box from. So they're gonna like give us a box with brunch in it, and we're gonna eat that.
Cool.
Fancy.
Yep. What are you doing?
I'm probably gonna let my wife have some time alone.
There you go. That's a good one.
I'll figure something out to do, take the kids away, give her time to rest, be a mother, or not be a mother.
There you go. There you go. On Mother.
Day off on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Cornell will be a mother.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kayla didn't have to do it.
There
there
you
we go.
That's a perfect gift, I think. Usually on Mother's Day, I get my mom her favorite flower, and we usually go to dinner. Can't go to dinner, so we're probably just gonna cook. But her favorite flower is an orchid, so she's not gonna watch this. So I'm
Like
gonna
the
tell her
whale?
She's gonna eat orchids. Yeah, like
That's
an
an
orchid.
orchid.
An orchid whale.
Yeah, a big orca.
Orchid whale.
It's kind of like the whale, right? It looks
Yeah,
like it,
looks like a
smells
whale.
like it. Who knows?
Blackfish.
You went there.
That's cool. What about you, bud?
We don't have a lot of plan for Mother's Day. I know that.
You gotta start thinking about this.
Yeah, I gotta start thinking about this. Like we talked about it. I was like, is Mother's Day like a thing?
It's really a thing, yeah.
But it's not though.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the person.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, kind of like, yeah.
Because I was like, I straight up, I asked Lizette, I was like, is Mother's Day a thing for like somebody who's pregnant who hasn't had a kid yet? And
she
she said no.
Oh, okay.
She was like, I don't really get that. Like, I don't understand like why that's a thing. And I was like, cool. I don't know either. So that's
You should
good.
still do something. Just to do something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Give her
You're
some
probably-
Oreos.
you're
There you
probably
go.
right.
Ice
You're
cream.
probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure something out.
Ice cream.
Oreo
A
ice
rail
cream.
of Oreos.
A rail of Oreos
Some
and an
ice cream.
orchid.
Well, the
flower.
good thing is that she's not really going anywhere right now. So
That's
like,
true.
So I can go out and do whatever I want to like, get her something if I
Yeah.
want to, and she can't come.
No
There
need
you go.
to sneak around.
She can't come.
So she didn't get to see that.
There you go.
So I can sneak all over the place and buy orchids or whatever the
You
hell
could.
I want.
There you go.
Whatever he needs to.
Right.
Well, she wanted nothing.
She won't. All right, cool. Well, guys, again, I appreciate you guys coming in, and I look forward to having you guys on the podcast / show / whatever this thing is. Again in the future.
Cool.
Cool.
We can
Cool.
talk about food.
Food.
Steak.
Steak. There you go. We can spend a whole hour.
We'll just
talking
bring a
about steak.
barbecue.
Oh, and barbecue and do it?